Well, welcome to Practitioner Book Club after a very long, you guys really can't hear that? Okay. After a very long break, the last year and a half has been like wild and busy, but I wanted to bring this back and I don't have a plan for the next book yet. So I'm just going to say that, especially with summer coming. So it's probably going to be a little bit more intermittent, but I really do miss meeting with other practitioners every month and reading books and discussing them and bringing on experts. So if any of you have recommendations, if any of you want to be, you know, our expert guest, please message me, please email me, all of that, because that's the hardest part of running this is coming up with like the meetings. So if you guys want to be highlighted or know someone that you would love to highlight, that would be really fun. But we are welcoming Steph Warner because I think it's really cool, something that's entered my life. Of course, it's been part of it for a long time with like bioresonance scans and just feeling the way I do about frequencies and just seeing them to be true, but like healing power of frequencies. And just, I mean, quick story of how this re-entered my life. Ida, who's on here, is on my Elevata team, and we've just known each other through practitioner circles for a while. And when Ellie recently, my Yorkie, got pancreatitis, she ran some AO scans for her. And you guys, she was like not cool for 3 days, like not moving, not her feisty self. And like hadn't even been sitting up, like really scary, where I'd be dipping my fingers into coconut water and having her lick them off my fingers because she wouldn't even drink. And she sent a scan to me, and you play these healing frequencies, and I played them, and she sat up during the whole thing. And I was like, what is happening? Because with a dog, you're like, there's no placebo effect, right? They don't have preconceived notions like we do as humans. So she sent me several scans over the next week, kept rescanning her and sending me things. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to look into this more for myself and my family. And you guys know I don't work with clients one-on-one right now, but have a lot of friends and family and people that contact me via Instagram. So I think I wanted to share because I really did see a difference with Ellie and then myself with these freaking, you pardon the language, like just recurrent UTIs and menopause. When I scan and see that like comes up, I'm like, what the heck? How? So I wanted to look into it more. I've never read one of Joe Dispenza's books, and of course, I know who he is and I've seen his things, but I wanted to dive into that a little bit more and then bring in Steph. So let me get like prepped a few. I wanted you to see a bio of who Steph is and just, why she's qualified to speak on this subject. But today, the discussion is rooted in Dr. Dispenza's work around shifting identity, rewiring thought patterns, and stepping into like new frequencies, literally, right? So Steph brings deep insight into frequency-based healing and how practitioners can support this transition. Because I know many of us have seen clients do the protocols perfectly and just there's something missing. It's like not, it's just they're not getting over the hump. And sometimes it's this piece, right? Sometimes it's emotions and frequency and all of that and mindset. So Steph is a passionate advocate for frequency-focused holistic wellness. After overcoming years of chronic illness caused by toxic mold exposure with homeopathy and energy medicine, she developed a deep appreciation for the power of bioenergetic healing. Her daughter was diagnosed with sensory processing disorder at the age of 2, and through this journey, Steph discovered the profound healing effects of PEMF, neurofeedback therapy, light therapy, frequency music, and vibration. For the past 4.5 years, Steph has built a business dedicated to empowering women and holistic practitioners with the tools and resources they need to heal themselves, their families, and their clients. By integrating innovative quantum technology with the healing power of nature, she simplifies wellness and helps others unlock their full energetic potential. So, as always, please feel free to ask questions, unmute, all those things. I want to get this out of the setting up my screen so that I can see everything at once. But I'm going to have Steph talk a little bit more about her journey, and then also, I have several questions prepared, but I think it's, it's nice to have you guys be able to ask questions too, and we'll do that as we go. I just need to pop up the chat. Oh no, I didn't know that, Angela. We have Yorkies that we got very similar times, and she said she had pancreatitis. It's so scary. So, so scary. All right. So, welcome, Steph.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. That was quite the intro that I wrote out. That's a mouthful.
No, but it's good because I think it explains how you got into this, because that's usually my first question to people when they come on is, how did, because most of us got into this for ourselves, for a family member, for something when traditional medicine just wasn't figuring out our issues, you
Yeah.
know?
I feel like that is the story that is repeated over and over again with every single person that I meet that comes into the frequency medicine, energy, light, PEMF, all of that type of medicine world, is that I didn't choose this. Right? Like I stumbled upon it. It's not like I grew up with my parents, in the 90s doing energy medicine in our house. My mom was a registered nurse at a hospital, and I grew up on antibiotics, and ibuprofen was the answer for everything. And I was really sick all of the time. I had chronic allergies and sinus infections and respiratory infections. And I grew up in Florida. I'm quite certain that my house was full of mold.
I was like mold.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. When I look, I'm moving soon. And so I've gone through all of the old boxes and found all my old photos from high school and college. Like my face was so puffy. I was sick all of the time. And it wasn't until I really moved out on my own and started questioning things and then started experiencing chronic illness myself and was introduced to a naturopath who primarily used homeopathy. She had some really amazing technologies in her clinic. She was imprinting frequencies into water for me and my family to detox from mold and everything else that we had, and it worked.
Hmm.
Like when my daughter was diagnosed with sensory processing disorder, we met a practitioner who used light, chromotherapy, different colors of light, and PEMF. He had the biomat. He had my daughter listen to whole tones music, if you're familiar with that. And he had the Neurofield 3000 brain neurofeedback system, but he took those nodes and he put them on her gut. He put them on
Hmm.
her liver and healed her gut first before he tried to heal her brain, and it worked. So all of these things that I was introduced to that I just kept saying, okay, this makes sense to me, I'm going to try it, is what led me to being in the frequency world and then eventually being connected with a company that's entire focused is on frequency, light, sound, vibration types of technology that they make available to holistic practitioners and also holistic families. It's really open to anyone. So I like to kind of preface this because people are like, how did you learn? It's not like I went to school for this, right? Not like I grew up with it, but it came into my life and I couldn't look away anymore. And it works. It just I keep witnessing all of these miracles happening because of it. And there's so much more science coming out about it. Like daily, I'm seeing these new articles come up either my Instagram feed or somewhere online that somebody's sharing about like sound waves, ultrasound waves destroying cancer cells, right? So I just think the future is frequencies. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me, but Dr. Joe Dispenza is a very important person in my life. Both my husband and I have been off and on like a meditation journey for the last probably 7 years. My husband is very dedicated to his meditation practice, and I just couldn't do it. Like my mind wouldn't shut off. I listened to Dr. Joe podcasts. I listened to a couple of his books, and I was like, that's great for everybody else, but my brain just won't do it. Like, I know that I have some
Like,
level of ADHD, right? And then last year, in the spring of last year, it just occurred to me that like I have all of these tools that I can use that can probably help me get into the brain state that I need to get in. And so I used my PEMF mat from Solex, and I used my AO scan, the inner voice, the sounds, the music that's created through that app. And I started to be able to meditate and have these unbelievable meditations, like almost like I was on, tripping on mushrooms or something. And it was just me and frequencies. And I was like, okay, wow, I can do this. So I have been meditating with Dr. Joe almost daily for over a year now. And it is super profound, but I tend to lean towards the frequency-based stuff more because I'm a busy mom and
mhm.
I have all this stuff going on in my life. And if you're on this call and you're a practitioner, then you're juggling lots of different things. And if you're taking care of other people, then you definitely have to squeeze in that time for yourself to heal and focus on how you're going to serve your clients, but also how you're going to serve yourself. And what we're going to talk about today is how you can do both, and that there's tools out there that can support you in changing your frequency for whatever everything that Dr. Joe talks about with becoming the person that you're meant to be. There's things out there that can support you in that process.
I'm really glad you said all of that because I believe in the power of meditation. I want to be good at it. I have the biggest monkey brain out there. I mean, even in college, when we had to take like PE classes, I thought I'll take yoga. Cool. That'd probably be good for me. The whole time I'm there, I was pre-med, and the whole time I was there, I thought, this is stupid. I have an organic chemistry test. This is a waste of time. Like, I wasted every second of that class because my brain is like, I should be studying, da 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 da. And I still get that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to be.
Or I'll lay down and fall asleep. And I was listening to the book and I was like, oh, I have an association with laying down that you sleep. I need to be doing this, not laying down.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, and
And
for me,
apparently, I need
like,
to be using the tools to get myself in the right brainwave state to do it
yeah,
because clearly I'm not.
yeah, yes. There's so many different ways to approach it, and I was shocked at how easy it was once once I utilized all the tools that I had at my disposal.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
good. Well, I did put some questions together just to kind of put a format to things. And again, let's start with before we get into any of that. Camille, she said, what Dr. Joe meditations are your faves most used, especially with limited time?
Yeah, so Dr. Joe has one that I actually did this morning. I had limited time. The ones that I started with was his future self meditations. His future self meditation is kind of like his intro one. It's only 24 minutes long. And that is what I use to get started because he speaks a lot more in that meditation to guide you and try to keep your brain focused. And that was really helpful to me. It's all about imagining what you want your future life to look like and then feeling the emotion of how that life feels. So that's a really good one. And it is divided up into two meditations. So there's a morning and a night, and both of them are about 24 minutes long. The morning one is like visioning your life and your future. And then the night one is more of like a reflection on, okay, how did I get in my own way today that is
Mhm.
blocking me from that vision that I had this morning? And then setting up your brain while you're sleeping to train yourself to stop having those negative thoughts. So that's a good combo to start with morning and
Are
night.
you finding these on YouTube? Like,
So you do have to pay for them.
okay.
I think some of them are available on Spotify that you can listen to. I don't know if the Future Self one is. I personally, like, he will have sales every now and then where it's like 20 or 30% off of his meditations. I have like a whole collection of them now. I really can only do about 30, 35 minutes of meditation. An hour-long meditation still is not yet. It's not yet for me, because I just don't have the time. And then my mind is like, okay, let's go. We have stuff to do. So he does have quite a few 30-minute long meditations. He has a heart focused meditation. He has a love your body meditation. And some of his most recent works that have become really popular are his walking meditations.
Ooh,
Those are an hour long, but I love them because you're outside, you're out in nature, you're walking around. I typically will go to like a really big grassy park and kind of meander around. Um, yeah, somebody's making some
okay.
recommendations.
That's awesome. I love that there's walking ones. You see, this is my like busy brain where I'm like, I can walk the dogs, I can meditate, I can
Mhm.
probably not the goal, but
Yes.
all right.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Dr. Joe talks about becoming a new version of yourself by shifting your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. From a frequency healing perspective, how do you see this process like playing out energetically?
Right. So my question is back to everybody else, what is a thought? We live with them all day long, right? They are in our minds, but you cannot see it. You cannot feel it. You cannot, it's not something tangible. So a thought then must be energy. It must be an energetic exchange, a flashing of neurons, exchanging ideas inside of our minds. And it is also typically thoughts are a way to keep us safe, even if they are distracting us or even if they feel productive. It's a way to keep us busy so that we are essentially ignoring the emotions that we don't want to deal with, that we are avoiding other things in our lives, or that we're hyper focusing on those things to try to have control in our life. And when it comes to changing your frequency, your thoughts are the most powerful way to do that. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Dr. David Hawkins and his scale of consciousness, the different levels of consciousness that start from shame all the way up to enlightenment. And in the middle, of course, there's love. And it's this level of not even thinking, but level of being, essentially. Your thoughts shape the energy and emotions that you feel. Your emotions are your thoughts and energy in motion. They are a manifestation of that. And so, I mean, this has played out in my life so many times, and everything that Dr. Joe says feels like truth to me. Because when I get out of my own way, when I stop thinking all of these controlling thoughts about how I can be the, controller or creator of my life, and like, okay, but in like a forceful way. Um, Once I release all of that and I surrender to the void, he talks a lot about surrendering to the void, step into the unknown in space, in time and space, and all of that. Um, that is when the magic really happens. And so like, I love Dr. Joe, but also the problem with that is so many people have a really hard time getting past that point. They have a hard time getting past that shutting off of their thoughts and staying still and being calm. And it really isn't their fault. It's not like there's something wrong with you. That's just how your brain has been wired, because you're probably stuck in fight or flight. That's just how you've been your whole life. Um, and so this is where frequency technology comes in and acts as a supplement to
Mhm.
help you through that process. So there's this technology called AO Scan. It's an app that we have on our computers, tablets, phones, wherever you have internet access. And there are multiple programs there that allow you to tap into frequencies. It's a frequency generator. It is a bioresonance body scanner. It's a voice scanner. does a lot of
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
It's a lot. But primarily what it does is it is a tool to help you optimize your health and your life and to see what is going on in your body. So, if something like meditation is challenging for you, if manifesting and tapping into the void and all of that is challenging, there are ways to get around that. And you can listen to frequency music. But if you're picking something that's maybe on YouTube or on Spotify, how do you know that that's the frequency that your brain or body really needs to get
Mhm.
into that theta brainwave state of meditation where you can really start honing in on what you're trying to manifest?
Yeah.
And a tool like AOScan can help you do that.
You know what? I wasn't planning to share this till later, but I feel like it's just a good time right now. I ran what I often do for myself because it's pretty easy. Literally, that's what it's called. The easy scan is pretty comprehensive. And I think it might be interesting for us to go over
Yeah.
my scan that I literally ran when this started,
Mhm.
and show you guys what it looks like. Because for someone like me that can be a little brain, um, it's helpful to have something like I don't have to think about it. This, you
Mhm.
literally press a button and it has you speak for 12 seconds. I usually say, my name is Gretchen, saying my birthday is, and then I'll say what today is. And then I just keep talking till the 12 seconds is up. And then the scan takes, I think, up to like 6 minutes to run, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and this is what a report looks like. So I've had so many questions as far as, like, well, does it make supplement recommendations? I haven't taken the time to load any supplements in. You absolutely can, just like you would with a Quest 4 machine, but it already has homeopathics and different things loaded in. So when you go down, you'll see, I mean, you can walk people through this probably better. I don't know anything up here other than I usually switch this to you choose your music. You can up here as far as the type, and I usually will go like calming. And then, you can play, you can walk them through it, Steph.
Yeah, so this top portion that you're seeing here is the inner voice report. There's all these different sections are actually different reports that have different data based off of the sound of your voice. And the inner voice report is analyzing 10,000 different frequencies in the sound of your voice from that little voice clip that you give it. So what it's doing is figuring out which frequencies are most out of range for you. And then that tells it a ton of information about your health, your emotions, your physical state, your energetic state. And it generates then a music file that has the frequencies and tones in it, the top four frequencies that were most out of range for you. It's going to send the opposite of those four frequencies back to you because that is then what your body needs to balance out. So if you actually click on the classic tones, I feel like the classic tones button next, yeah, up there is a little bit easier to read. So this is what the sound of your voice looks like today, Gretchen.
Mhm.
And as you can see, both orange and yellow are colors associated with each of these notes. So each note on the musical scale is associated with a different color on the Roy G. Biv ultraviolet scale. Um, and so these are the colors that you need today. Orange and yellow would be good for you. But then you also are looking at the notes that are the most suppressed. So it looks like the C, or that G note there, that's like an
Coffee.
aqua color, really was the lowest. And then also that really deep violet color as well. So this is going to be able to tell you what emotions are most present for you. Let's oh, you can't go into it. We'll go into the report about that later. But then as you
Mhm.
scroll down, you see the homeopathics that were recommended for Gretchen today. And it looks like, yes, she also has a bacteria detox frequency recommended and a dental detox frequency recommended. So these are frequencies that you can then imprint into sugar pellets or water. If you guys have any questions about this, or I'm going through it too fast, just put them in the chat and I'll be
Well,
happy.
and also people are like, well, how do you do that? So you actually, and I'm sure Steph can explain this, and those of us who have run bioresonance alongside blood work, I think that is what truly convinced me that this is a real thing, you know. Um, have seen like because I've seen the crossover, and for me, like looking at this right now, let's look at these homeopathics. You guys, I am doing a third year analysis for the week tomorrow because I'm not convinced that this stupid bacteria is gone, right? And so it keeps popping up, these different bacterias, and so it makes perfect sense to me, and I'm going through it, right? But you put it on your phone. So I will send this report since I ran it on my computer via email. I can send it to myself. And then on my phone, I can put my bottle of water on here and click erase. So whatever frequencies are currently in the water will be erased. And then for each one of these, I can then imprint it in the water and drink the water throughout the day. And if I run another scan and different ones come up, I can erase my water again and do it again. And I'll probably run at least 3 scans today just to stay on top of it. Cause I can run, I mean, I say unlimited, but it's what, 1 per hour per person.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of scans. I'm not going to run that unless like when Ellie is sick, I will run them every hour that I can.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so it turns any phone, tablet, or computer into a frequency generator. And this is something that sounds crazy, actually. If you the more every time I say it, I'm like, that's crazy. But your phone, your tablet, and computer actually can be frequency generating devices in a positive and healthy way. And this company has just figured out the algorithms and how to do that. So this actually changes your technology into
Mm,
positive frequency generator, and rather than something that is detracting from your
mm.
health. So yeah, the report is pretty lengthy, and I don't know if you really want to go into the whole report or if you
I
just
think
want to
it's
talk
just
about the
helpful to
emotional
see, like
sides.
it will
Yeah.
pop up certain foods to avoid for the moment, right? And then it goes through different chakras, and I'm actually doing pretty good right now.
Um,
I
yeah.
wasn't
So
yesterday
it was
afternoon.
showing, yeah, so it sends the body optimizing frequencies. So it scans and analyzes, but then it sends optimizing frequencies instantly. So as soon as it sees that her sacral chakra is out of balance, it sends an optimizing frequency through the device back to her to try to get it back into balance. So as you can see here on the right side, her
Right
sacral
here.
chakra and her root chakra had low energy to start. And then once she received those optimizing frequencies, it actually put her chakras back into balance. And this is a very impressive chakra scan, Gretchen. Uh,
I'm feeling good. I was excited to see you guys
Mhm.
today, right?
Yeah.
But
Your
it's
meridians.
interesting to go through all the things. I mean, my gallbladder still needing support, right?
And then, yeah, the one above that too. Uh,
Oh, got
so,
it.
so that your bladder, there
Oh,
you go.
see, you
Your
guys, look at my
bladder
bladder.
meridian was out of alignment. It had too much like inflammatory type energy. And what's interesting is that bladder meridian goes up all the way over and then back down your spine and all the way down through your ankles. So I would do some work there today if you wanted to.
Oh,
Um,
I'm doing work all
yeah,
day long. Trust me. There's
I'm
herbs
sure.
going in. There's like laurel siding going in. There's
Hmm.
tea.
Yes. So then as you scroll down, it actually shows the physical and emotional links associated with the
Uh-huh.
meridians. So, if we were to
Oh,
look
it'd
at her
be interested to see
bladder
the bladder, right? Yeah.
meridian, at war with the world, chaotic life, restless and hating your partner or your job. I doubt that, but restlessness, impatience.
I am restless right now. I have a lot of things up in the air. I'm like, I like things decided. My life is very undecided right now, and that's hard.
Yep, I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
So, and then it just goes through all of these things too. So these are, at first I was like, oh my God, there's so much red. there's so much green. This report is only showing the things that you want to be like
There are
concerned
hundreds and
with.
hundreds of items that were scanned just from that
Yeah.
voice analysis alone.
And I mean, yes, I still have H. pylori. So like there's so many connections that we could go through looking at this. And you see things come up over and over and over and over again. And just because you see something here doesn't mean you have it, by the way. This is something that we've all explained to people as practitioners. These are just things you're resonating with right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's fascinating. And then it goes through more and more things. So this is a quick little 6-minute scan. And I mean, if I was still working with people one-on-one, this would be a little add-on to our meeting for the day, like doing a scan. So I just think it's interesting to show you what one looks like. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at some things here. So I'm going to ask another question that we'll go over and I'll read through these while we're there. But what's the connection between a person's baseline frequency and the subconscious patterns they're trying to rewire?
Right. So that's where actually AOScan can really help give you a picture of what's going on. You may have some clues of what's going on with yourself, but if you're working with clients, we all know that their responses to the questions that you ask them are very subjective, right? They might not be totally honest with themselves. They might be the type of person that is in total denial about what's going on with their health. And when you can add a layer of um, investigation, essentially, to that, where you can get a better idea and a better snapshot of what's really going on, then you can see how their frequencies, their emotions, their thought patterns are truly impacting their overall well-being and how that's playing out in the physical realm. So I personally believe, and I do think there's going to be a lot more science coming out to prove this in the very near future, but energy dictates form. Because we are conditioned to live in this material world where what our senses see is this material body, this physical body that we have, we tend to be very focused on the physical, right? Because we're like, okay, I have this rash on my skin. I need to put a cream on my skin to fix this, right? But really, this rash on your skin manifested because of an energy in your biofield that started probably several weeks or several days before this even showed up. And what we are finding with AO scans is that frequencies will show up in people's reports and they'll be like, well, I don't really have that symptom. And then 24 to 48 hours later, they do. And there's actually a doctor on our in our AOScan community whose son works for NASA. And he has been integrating AO scans in all of the testing that they have to do on astronauts who are training to be part of that program. And what he found I mean, astronauts get tested for absolutely everything multiple times a day of every single day. And he found that the AO scan was predicting what would show up in their blood work 2 to 3 days later. And to me, that says the frequency dictates the form. The frequency.
I can attest to this really quickly because my naturopath has a like bioresonance machine in her office. And you guys, last Tuesday is when I went in the afternoon going, I need like, or it was the Tuesday before, regardless. I had seen her the day before and she said, how's your bladder doing? And I went, I'm good. Like my bladder's good. It hasn't been an issue. And then I see her Tuesday as I just drive in. I don't make an appointment. I was like, I need to pee in a cup. I don't need an appointment for that. I know something's up. And I looked at her. She happened to walk by because she was going to see another patient. And I went, Dr. Dandy, did you know? She goes, I didn't, but the machine did. I was just hoping it wouldn't happen. And she every time, how's your like this been? And then like 3 days later, I'm like, what the heck? I always call her the good witch. And she's like, it's not me, it's the machine. So I can attest to this. I've seen it so many times where when she asked, like, don't ask me about a symptom.
Yeah. 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 So somebody in the comments is asking, or chat is asking about the specifics that I use to get into meditation. So Solex is the company that has all of this different frequency technology. I have the AO Scan app, which is a monthly subscription, and I use the Inner Voice music that you guys saw a little clip of from the Easy Scan. Inner Voice is a scan on its own. You can just do that. It only takes 10 seconds, and then it generates either one custom song for you that has all 4 frequencies in it, or 4 separate songs, each with their own individual frequency. You have a choice of how you want to listen to it. And I have found that the Inner Voice music, listening to that to start, because sometimes I will just meditate without Dr. Joe's meditations. Listening to that to start gets all of my negative emotions out of the way. And it's really like, it sets me up for a clean slate for the day. So Inner Voice is really great to listen to in the morning and at night to help you deal with your emotions. It's really great for individuals who are going through chronic illness and are dealing with all of the things that come along with chronic illness. Um, and I can attest to this as well. I was the type of person that really was identifying with my chronic illness diagnoses. And once you start identifying with it, it becomes a part of your personality. It's even harder to get rid of because it's like you're clinging to it, right? And Inner Voice is really good for those types of people. So Inner Voice is a great place to start. Aside from that, there are tons of frequencies that you can use. We have all of the flower essence frequencies, both Bach flowers and Australian bush flowers. Those are fantastic for emotions, but several of those flowers also unlock higher levels of consciousness. And you can broadcast those to yourself. There are frequencies for things like focus, and Ida, feel free to like shout out other frequency thoughts that you have here. There are so many frequencies and so many different ways that you can customize this to yourself. It's just a matter of diving in and creating your own custom playlist, which you can do for yourself for an unlimited number of people. As far as the PEMF settings are concerned, I do have the PEMF mat from Solex, which has all of the chakra crystals inside of it, and it has a alternating PEMF current. So most mats have the PEMF set up so that it is the same PEMF in the same position every single time you get on it. And your body's really smart. It actually starts to get used to that, and it will start to ignore those signs. Our body has something called hedonic adaptation, and that has to do with smell, sights, sounds, where we get used to our surroundings and our brain actually starts turning off. Like I used to wear perfume, right? And you'd be like, I can't smell my own perfume anymore. I don't even notice that I'm wearing it. And then I feel like I need more. You don't. Your brain has literally just shut off its ability to sense that. And the same happens with PEMF. So with our mat, the PEMF is actually randomized so that your body cannot ever get used to it. And there's 4 different settings. There is alpha waves, alpha waves, delta waves. I should know this off the top of my head. Alpha waves, delta waves, and theta waves. And then there's also the Schumann resonance, PEMF. So I was using either the Schumann resonance or the alpha waves. Alpha waves is actually the state that your brain gets into in between either waking up, coming out of a deep sleep, waking up, or going down into a deep sleep right before you get into that deep sleep. Alpha waves are essentially considered a meditative state for your brain. So that is what I found to be the most helpful, was putting on some frequencies, putting on my PEMF mat to those alpha waves, and then it was just like a switch literally went off, and I was there in that state.
Yeah, I think that's so helpful. One important thing I think to talk about is many of us are familiar with, because our very first book that we ever read was The Emotion Code.
Mhm.
So we know about trapped emotions, we know about, generational trauma, all of that, right? So in the book, we're challenged to stop living by emotions of the past, but how can frequency-based healing support people in releasing those stored emotional patterns, like generational type things? Because many of us have gone to practitioners, and I do see value in that, who help us release these emotions. But I also know that we are helping our clients manage how much all of this healing costs. And
Mhm.
that's one thing that I like about this, is for the price of like one session with someone, you can use it all month long in so many different ways.
Yeah,
So I would love to address that aspect of how could that help people?
right. I'm so glad you asked that. And I must not have noticed that on the list, but I am a certified emotion code practitioner. And I saw clients one-on-one for 2 years from my home, did it virtually over video and phone calls. And I loved working with those clients, and just it's a phenomenal modality to introduce people to the realm of energy healing, because Dr. Brad has simplified it so much. I'm so grateful for it. However, I found as an emotion code practitioner that my clients started to become dependent, and they no longer saw themselves as the healer. They saw me as the person healing them. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to show them that they could do this themselves, that it was their body, their subconscious mind, their higher self that was allowing these trapped emotions to be released. And once the AO scan came into my life, it actually came into my life at a time where I prayed out loud and I said, God, please help me find a way to make this job easier for me and my clients, that I want to support my clients when I'm not with them. Like, I was getting text messages at night and on the weekends of, they're like, oh no, I'm having a panic attack, or I'm freaking out, I need you to release something from me. And I was like, no, I need boundaries. Like, I cannot right now. I needed a way to support them in between sessions. And literally 2 weeks later, the AO scan came into my life, and it was everything that I had asked for, that I had wanted it to be, from everything that I learned about frequency medicine that helped heal my daughter, the light, the sound, um, all of that, to the emotional piece. And the emotional piece is the very first piece that was integrated into this app with Inner Voice. Um, Inner Voice, we have hundreds of emotion code practitioners that are on in our AO scan community, and they all had started muscle testing. How many trapped emotions am I releasing just by listening to this inner voice music, or by playing these flower essence frequencies, or by, playing this frequency for obsessive thoughts and fears? And it was anywhere from like 5 to 15 trapped emotions were being released just from listening to the music. Um, and if you do muscle testing, every single person is going to be different with how they respond to it. But we have so many testimonials of people who have severe anxiety, who have severe depression, who listened to Inner Voice daily for 21 days, and their symptoms were cut in half. We actually have like this little mini trial that we did with 21 people, or no, 10 people for 21 days. And they all self-reported that 21 days later, their symptoms were cut in half. Um,
Yeah,
so beyond the inner voice piece, I do want to share some more. I did not plug my computer in, so I need to go get my battery real quick. So if you just want to
yeah.
chat, I will be right
No,
back.
you're good. I was going to mention that last night the dogs were in my office barking really loud, and there's cement floors in here, so it's very loud, very echoey, and I was getting a huge headache. And I was like, I'm going to have to stop working, but I have a lot of work to do. And it honestly, sometimes I forget I have this tool available to me. I hadn't used it for a few days. And it occurred to me, I was like, oh my gosh, just run a scan. And admittedly, I haven't learned all of the intricacies of these scans yet. I haven't had the time. But the cool thing is, I just ran an easy scan. I was like, I'm going to run an easy scan. I don't need to be specific and be like, run a headache scan. I don't need to be, right? And within 3 minutes of playing the frequencies, I was like, this is crazy. My head feels so much better. I can continue. And then I continued and worked until 9 p.m. And I mean, not that I should be doing that, but this is to let you know, if you don't have the bandwidth to learn this right now, there are a ton of tools available through I signed up under Ida, who's on, Steph's team. So if you sign up with any of us, and this is not an article for this, this is not what this is. I just want to bring something to your awareness. I hope you guys all know I've never pressured anyone to buy anything, but if this resonates with you, all the tools are available to train you on how to use this. It's all available. I just haven't had the time to do it. So I run an easy scan, or I run a PET scan, or I do like some of the simple things I've learned, but I know I'm going to get deeper into this when I have the bandwidth. But that's all I had to do to help improve it and make it so that I can continue working. So go on.
Yes. Okay. So I'm back and I'm plugged in. Uh, what was I talking about? The emotional aspect of, yes, so emotion code and inner voice. Aside from that, there's also a program in AOScan called MindSync. And MindSync is really what I wanted to share the most about regarding Dr. Joe Dispenza and, changing how you view your life and yourself, changing your emotions, helping clients to overcome traumas and any chronic illnesses that they're experiencing. MindSync is probably the most powerful program that we have in this app. There are like 15 different programs in the app, and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. Use what you feel applies best to your life or to your practice. And most people just do one at a time, like Gretchen said, learn as you go. But with MindSync, you may have heard of other apps that use different meditations to help rewire the subconscious mind. The founder of our company is the master. He's like the OG of creating technologies that rewire your subconscious mind. He's been doing this since the 1980s. He created a technology called the theta chamber that helps to reverse addictions and anxiety and depression. But with MindSync, he created this program in the app that helps to get your brain into a theta state instantly. How does it do that? With MindSync, first, what you do is you record your own positive affirmations in the sound of your voice. Like I said earlier, what are our thoughts? What do your thoughts sound like to you? The thoughts that are programming our mind to constantly stay in this negative state, it sounds like your voice, right? Even though it's not a physical sound, in your head, it sounds like your voice. So when we are listening to something like Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations or other things, it has a level to it where it sounds foreign to us. And it's a little bit harder for us to digest and get used to because it's somebody else's voice. There's nothing more powerful than listening to the sound of your own voice because that is what your mind is the most used to. So it starts off with recording the sound of your own voice with positive affirmations. And we have pre-programmed scripts that show up on the screen, and you just read the scripts based off of maybe it's health affirmations that you want, maybe it's relationship affirmations, maybe it's business affirmations. We do have pre-programmed scripts. But a lot of us like to tap into what we feel is the best to write for ourselves, or use something like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like fantastic at writing positive affirmation scripts. It blows me away every time. I'm like, wow, that's actually really good. And so you can write positive affirmations for absolutely anything that you want to change. in your life. And what this app does is it allows you to choose the song. There's like background music to listen to it so that it makes it a little more palatable to hear, anything from relaxing to a little more upbeat. But when you play this track, it saves it as an MP3 file. You can listen to it through the app. You can email it to yourself. You can download it on your computer. You can save it into your Apple Music and play it on repeat, however you want to do it. When you listen to it with headphones on, it plays it differently in your right ear than your right ear than your left ear by a difference of 8 hertz. So it's like 100 hertz in this ear and 108 hertz in this ear, just as an example. When your brain hears anything in this that has a difference of 8 hertz, all it can hear is that 8 hertz. And it actually sounds like you're listening to this mind sync recording. It sounds like it's coming from the center of your brain when you hear it. It's the craziest thing. So as you're listening to it, that sound alone, 8 hertz is theta waves. That is the same frequency as theta waves. So it naturally guides your brain into a theta state, which is your suggestive state of mind. And that is where your brain opens up its subconscious to allow new programming to enter. And it's your voice, it's your affirmations, it's what you personally need in that moment for whatever issue you're trying to overcome. So that has been a tool that the results are just unbelievable. I mean, the testimonials that we hear, a lot of people are using it to build their businesses. A lot of people are using it to call in the perfect clients, their ideal clients. They're calling in, more income, revenue streams, but they're also using it to like change my thoughts about the way that I think about food, the way that I think about my body, the way that I think about my health and healing and what's possible for me. So
Yeah.
that,
The way I think about this diagnosis and I'm identifying with it,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So many things. Well, someone just said, is this all part of the AO scan? Clearly, I admitted I haven't dived into everything. I scrolled down and I was like, oh yeah, it is. It's right there. I should be playing with this.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot that you can choose from. It really is a tool. It's like my Swiss Army knife for my
Mhm.
health that I have in my pocket, literally have in my pocket and take with me anywhere. It's not like a technology that sits in your clinic on a desk somewhere. You literally access it from any browser,
Yeah.
any
That's
type
why I
of
was like, I just pulled it up to show you guys. There's so many things that when I'm logged in, I can scroll through. So many different quick scans already made, the easy scan, inner voice, like so many of these. And then she just said mind sync. So what's right here that I could just click on and do? Pet
Mhm.
scan. So there's a lot of different things available and then, all these different scans too. So it's pretty user friendly that you can just start like playing around with.
You literally just tap a button. Like if you want to show them real quick how easy the easy scan is to start. Uh,
Yes.
so the easy scan is right below. You just tap on it and then you literally hit start.
I hit start scan and in 3 seconds it's going to ask me to start and I'd say my name is, I don't know if it will go with Zoom. My
Mhm.
name is Gretchen Sang. My birthday is November 2nd, 1975. I just keep talking until it stops, which is I believe at 10 or 10 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then it starts scanning. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how easy it is to tap into the scans. You really don't need training to do
No.
that. And most practitioners, there is free basic training that comes along with it, but most practitioners are familiar enough with the body and the results of the reports that they know what those items are. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And that was one question that I think like, so from a practitioner lens, how do you actually incorporate AO scan results into your sessions or protocols? Is it used alone or as a complement? And I mean, I
mm,
think this is up to the individual, right? But just if you could talk through a couple of examples of how you used it yourself, how you've seen other people do it. I think that can help people figure out, is this something that I want to consider incorporating?
Right. Yeah, most people use it as a supplement to their practice. We have everything from chiropractors to functional medicine doctors, integrative health practitioners, uh, emotion code practitioners, the whole spectrum of kind of like the holistic healing realm is using this. We have a lot of families that use it as well, just for themselves and for their communities. But there's so much that you can do with it that you really get to choose how you want to apply it. A lot of people are incorporating it as like the inner voice is a supplement to their sessions with their clients, and they send their clients home with new inner voice music every week. But what we are really encouraging our practitioners to do now is to incorporate the subscription into the programs that you're offering. So like you said, a single emotion code session can cost $100, $200 per session, depending on who you're working with. And it's really up to you as a practitioner. Do you want to create a system of dependency where your clients are depending on you for everything, depending on you to do the scans for them? Or do you want to create a system of empowerment where you are giving them the tools that they need to do this themselves? And you earn, when you sign somebody up, you do earn commissions on that subscription. So you are getting a little bit of incentive back, but it's only $149 a month for access to all of those programs to be able to use for on as many people as you want. So as a practitioner, it pays for itself if you are charging people to do scans with you, but it also pays for itself if you are empowering your clients to just get the subscription and use it themselves, because then they can do inner voice scans daily. They can listen to music every single day as their emotions change daily. They can do scans and optimizations on themselves. They can send a customized list of frequencies to themselves that you help them create, maybe with your specific expertise. But now you say, just press play on this frequency list every morning and play that for 30 seconds for yourself, and then you're good to go. And it takes the burden off of you as the practitioner to have to do it for them. And then you're teaching them to look at their reports and see what's going on with their health and see, like, oh, I am noticing that my cortisol is showing up in my scans every single day. I might need to talk to my practitioner about this. I am seeing that I have this like bacterial and viral load showing up in my scans every single day. I might need to do something about this. And it educates them about what's going on in their body. It educates them about how their emotions are impacting their health daily. I know, like, now that I have this information in the palm of my hand, I can't unsee that, right? Like I can't unlearn how I am responsible for how my health is affecting me and for how my
Yeah.
emotions are affecting me. Every single time I do an inner voice scan and I look at that report and I see repetitive thinking pop up, or I see anger pop up, or I see low self-esteem pop up, it's a really interesting gut check to be like, oh, yep, there you go, Steph. These are some things that
You
we
know,
need to work on and tap into more in doing more frequencies and listening to the music.
it's interesting when I mentioned to my naturopath that I was like, yeah, I got the AO scan. Her first question was, well, she said, I have it too. So despite having all of the machines that she has in her office, her family still utilizes the AO scan. And she said, I'm curious, what patterns have you been seeing recently? I was like, okay. So like she's with all the stuff she has, she's like, it sees things. I believe it. My family uses it, But I think as practitioners, especially when we're starting out, we want to take all the clients. We want to be super busy. We like stay up till 11 at night running protocols and creating things. there's only so much time you have in a day to see clients, right? You can't see everyone every day. You can't run a scan on everyone every day, even if you're charging for it. So that's where, I mean, whenever I would see someone for the first time, part of my spiel that I would say to them is, my goal is for you to not need me. So we're going to work together. We're going to get you to a healthy point. I want you to notice, oh, when my adrenals are out of whack, when horrible things in my life happens, like a parent passes away, I know how to support them because you've helped me through other hard times. And I've learned that this supplement can support me, but so can these behaviors, you know? So the goal is to have them not need you anymore. I don't know about you guys, but I am enjoying not having clients at set times every day because that is your whole day and you are limited. You can only help, I mean, to even say you could help 10 people a day is ridiculous. That's too many, right? But if you had clients able to do this for themselves, then you are helping like potentially hundreds of people a day. So
Yep.
that's how I see this because you can only do so much as one person.
Right. Um, and I really, yeah, to tie this back into Dr. Joe and the book, I love Dr. Joe, but when I talk to other people about his meditations or reading his books, they're like, yeah, that's great, but I'm just not going to do it, right? Like, how many people do you know that want to meditate? They want to be the person that sits down every day and meditates for 30 minutes or 20 minutes, but they're just not that. They just don't, right? Like it's just life. And most people who are coming to holistic practitioners are either like just dipping their toe into the holistic world, or they've been in it for a while and they're kind of obsessive about things. And they just don't have the time, the wherewithal, or the motivation. Especially like when I was chronically ill, I did not have the motivation to try to meditate every day. I so wish that I had this tool at my disposal because I was paying tens of thousands of dollars. And 1 year alone, I paid $50,000 to my natural practitioner. She saved my life, so it was worth it. But I couldn't bring any of her technologies home with me. I couldn't create any of her homeopathic remedies in my house with my own devices. I had to rely on her for all of that. And now I have over 600 homeopathic remedies that I can create in my own water from the comfort of my own home. To not have to leave my house, like when my daughter was having severe sensory processing disorder, I could not leave my house. She refused to be buckled into her car seat when she was 2 years old. And there was a period of 3 weeks where I was homebound and I had to walk anywhere that I could go because she could not be safely in a car. And so I wish that I had this in my hands.
Mhm.
I wish I had this music to play for her. I wish I had these frequencies to broadcast to her without her even knowing it. Because every single time I play frequencies for my kids, they completely change. Their attitudes melt away. Their
I think
anger.
the first time I ever saw your Instagram page, you were on vacation and
Mhm.
you talked about like how your husband's like, can you please run frequencies on the kids?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, they're literally they never leave my side. I have
Yeah,
frequencies running like 24/7 for the most part for somebody somewhere. And these are frequencies that you can broadcast, to anyone anywhere in the world because that's just how the quantum realm works.
right, right.
Um, but as
And I
far
don't want to like one thing that I do want to bring up because this is a practitioner book club with a wide range of people. Obviously, they found me, so they know they're going to be into some like woo-woo things, right? But this still is very new for many people. We have new members who are like, this sounds weird. So when you talk about quantum physics, they're like, well, I mean, for some reason, people think quantum physics is okay when you talk about physics, but then you actually bring it into the application of this, and they're like, but I don't get it. How does it work? My own husband, who was like, you're crazy. You probably shouldn't talk about this publicly. Like, that's happened so many times where I'm like, well, I don't care. It's fine. I'm going to. Um, he was also like, so you're going to run another scan on Ellie? So disbelieving, but also like how do you approach, let's say, a client that you want to offer this to who like isn't going to understand this? How do you explain it to them? Because they're like, what do you mean I'm going to talk into something and then it's going to tell me I have H. pylori? Not that you have it, but that I resonate with it.
Yeah. So I just start off with everything is energy. And because I was an emotion code practitioner and I was working with people who were open to
Mhm.
that type of energy medicine, they understood how energy worked. And when I was an emotion code practitioner, this was, when was this? I got my certification in 2019 and I launched my business in January of 2020, right before the pandemic hit.
There was a few emotions.
And so I'm doing emotion code sessions for people over the phone. They found me on Instagram, right? I did not advertise anything. People just found me. It was an energetic attraction thing.
Mhm.
But the way that I explained it to my clients was every single person has their own unique energy field. Your energy field is so unique to you that there is a 1 in 3 trillion chance that your energy field matches anybody else on the planet. And the way that we analyze that energy field is from the way that you produce energy. The sound of your voice is energy. The sound of your voice is sound waves traveling through space. Sound of your voice is a direct reflection of what is happening bioenergetically with your body. And so, from the sound of your voice alone, we can analyze over 10,000 different frequencies. This technology that is used for inner voice is modeled off of the program that the CIA uses for voice detection. They don't use lie detectors anymore. It's their new lie detection is through the sound of your voice. You can actually tell if somebody's lying just by how they're speaking and how their voice
Hmm.
changes. But the sound of your voice tells you so much more. And this company now, I mean, at this point is probably over 15 million scans, but last year, the summer of last year, AO Scan had done over 10 million scans on people. And they don't save people's private data, their names, height, weight, date of birth, anything like that. They just analyze the data. Is it a female or is it a male? And comparing how this data works and what the results are in your easy scan report, they now can tell with 85 to 95% accuracy that if a person's voice is out in this range and also this range and also this range, it means this is happening with their kidney. It's wild to think about, but the sound of your voice really is so powerful. So I start off by explaining the sound of the voice piece and that your voice tells you so much about you. Once if they're a person who like has no clue about energy whatsoever, they really just have to see the report themselves. They look at the report and they're like, oh, that's true. Especially if you send them their inner voice report that tells them the top 4 emotions that are most out of range for them. Like I have not met a person yet who will say, oh, that's not me. Like there's people who deny, they're like, I'm not angry. um, and yeah, then I go into the quantum side of things, right? So we are all energetic beings. We have a measurable bioenergetic field. This is something that Dr. Joe has proven in all of the scientific studies. I know we are like going over time. So if you need to,
Okay.
you're welcome to. Um, all of the scientific studies that Dr. Joe has done on the frequencies that come from your heart and what happens when you have heart-brain coherence and the measurable energy that comes outside of your body with your heart-brain coherence. You have an electromagnetic field that your body produces that is measurable. And what's really interesting about all of this is that it's quantum, that we are all energetically linked through the quantum field. And in the quantum field, it's not a material space. There is no time. There is no physical, it's just energy. And so you can send energy and frequencies to anyone, anywhere in the world simultaneously because it's done through the quantum field, with scalar waves and Rife waves and all of that sort of stuff. So,
I know it's one of those things I think I'm never going to fully understand all of it, but I don't feel like I need to because I've seen enough proof is in the pudding. And then the last things that I throw out, you guys, if people don't get it, is how do you think an EKG works? How do you think an MRI works? Energy. It's
CT
assessing the
scans.
energy in your body. So people understand those medical applications for it. This just hasn't become mainstream enough. But I was telling a friend about this and she goes, you know what? I feel like you're always 5 years ahead. And of course, you guys are more ahead of me, but she's like, I catch up to you in 5 years. And then I go, oh, okay. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just introducing an idea here. And I feel like the book that we read here, I listened to it. I'm probably going to listen to it several more times because I don't think it's possible to absorb everything at once, right? Like different ideas you get each time you listen to them. So, yeah. Yeah. Were you going to say something, Ida? Oh, no.
I
I
was
think she was making sure she was muted.
I was, but we got we got the blue angels flying around here and they get
Oh, I love
really
that.
loud. I thought that it was about to come here. I was about to meet it again. But yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say too that when I came across Steph, she was talking about this earlier, how, many found her on Instagram, and that's how I found her. I think a year prior to finding her, I was working with a company at that time called Root Cause Clinic, and they did frequency testing. That was the first time I ever came across anything frequency. And I was blown away by what would come up on the reports. And I don't even know how I came across Steph's account. And she was talking about AOScan and inner voice. And I reached out to her immediately. And that was the first thing that I did with AOScan. I had just tried inner voice. And when I listened to my tones and how it affected me emotionally, that was it. I was sold. Sign me up. That's all I needed. I didn't need to know anything else AOScan did. Just by what I experienced with inner voice, I was blown away. And I don't know what was this Steph in 2022 or 23. It's been a while,
Yeah, it's
right?
been a couple years
Been
now.
a while now. So yeah, so it's amazing. It's an amazing technology. And then, when you also think about people who are working with a practitioner, sometimes, just one family member can work with the practitioner, right? So if they had AO scan and between sessions, they had inner voice to help them, right? In between those sessions, they're helping themselves, right? They're empowering themselves to take, you know, take it upon themselves to take care of their health, not be depending on somebody else. But then at the same time, they can help their husbands, they can help their children, they can help their pets. So I mean, there's just so much.
Whether they know it or not. I'll
Exactly.
sometimes run scans on my husband because I already have his info in there,
Oh yeah, and
you
it's
know?
amazing. People love their pets. Their pets are their family. This morning, it had been a couple of days that my dog had just been whining. Before it's time to take him out, and I told my husband something's not right with him. And so this morning he started whining around 5 a.m. Woke me up.
Ooh,
I scanned him. I instead of playing his music next to him, I created a playlist and I just broadcasted that playlist to him for an hour. He calmed down. I noticed when I took him outside, he was just scratching like crazy. He never does that. So I got a playlist. I made a playlist for him for fleas, take stuff like that, right? Insect detox, pesticide, radiation, what have you. Imprinted his water, imprinted his
hmm,
food with it. Itching went away.
that's
So
fascinating. I
that's
love
how
it.
that's how fast it works. And so we don't want to just scan ourselves daily. We want to scan our pets daily too, because I take that for granted. I don't scan them daily, but it just goes to show how they are impacted by the food that they eat too, what's around us, bad frequencies. And so we don't want to just scan ourselves daily. We want to make sure that we scan them daily too.
Right,
Yeah.
It's
right. And I think
amazing.
the last question I want to ask, Steph, because I just saw it on my list, and of course we didn't get to all of them, but about like more sensitive clients. those
Mhm.
clients that come to us with like mast cell and things like that have, I mean, we know how this can benefit them, but are there clients that are too sensitive for this? How do you approach sensitive clients?
Um, so it's interesting because the frequency program that generates different frequencies for illnesses, diseases, emotional imbalances is called SEFI. And it's a acronym SEFI. And SEFI actually stands for Subtle Energy Frequency Imprinter. These are very subtle energies. This is not like holding on to frequencies of a Rife machine where then you have Herxheimer reaction the next day. There are people who tend to be a little bit sensitive to frequencies. It's very rare that I run into somebody who's so sensitive that they have a Herxheimer reaction. I actually haven't seen that happen in years now. But the frequencies, you only need to play them for 30 seconds. And if you just broadcast them for 30 seconds and then you see how somebody responds, you go from there. I mean, for somebody like me, I will play frequencies for myself and my family like overnight.
I was going to say, I press continuous and just walk
Yeah.
away.
When my daughter was sick a couple weeks ago, right before we were about to leave on vacation, of course, I was like, okay, we got to knock this out in 3 days before we leave. And so I played frequencies for her for, I think, 48 hours straight. And she had some kind of nasty respiratory, tons of mucus blowing her nose like crazy. And she was totally fine by Saturday.
Mm,
Started showing symptoms on Wednesday, and she was totally fine by Saturday. And I completely attribute it to the frequencies because like we were so busy that we're in the process of moving and also remodeling our house that we live in now, and then packing for a trip and getting ready to leave. I didn't really have time or take the time to give her all of the remedies that I normally would give her several
mhm.
times a day. I just did frequencies. I just relied on that, and she recovered really quickly. But yeah, for people who are super sensitive, it's really just a trial and error. But I have not heard stories in years of people having a reaction to having too many frequencies.
No, I've only experienced positives,
Mhm.
truly. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
I will say for me, when I first started out, I was very sensitive, but I already knew I was very sensitive because when I worked with that practitioner before I found Steph, I had really bad hercs. So when I started using AO scan, I couldn't do easy scan every day. If I did, when I first started doing it, I was doing it every day. And then I was just tired and very sleepy. So, and then we have a Facebook group. So I went on there, asked questions. And so at first, I would only scan myself maybe twice a week. Right.
mhm,
And then I started increasing it little by little. And now I can do it every day, whatever times of day I want to do it. But when they know they're sensitive, they're going to know. They'll be
mhm.
sleepy. They won't get, I mean, I've never had any bad
I was
herpes.
like, sleepy, if that's
Yeah.
as bad as it got, that's
Yeah.
not that bad.
I was just sleepy. So I knew then that I needed to slow down. And that's what I did. And you just work up to it. But yeah, they'll know if they're sensitive and they'll know
Mhm.
to scale it down. But
Yeah.
but you won't get hurt.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Steph. I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I'm going to keep, like I said, listening to it over and over and keep doing my scans and all of that. And you guys, I will, of course, send the replay out. I know so many weren't able to watch it, but then I'll link all the different resources. And Steph and I have done a live on Instagram, so I'll link that as well. And I'll link all the things in case you want to look into it more. But I just think it's an important conversation to offer as an option for people. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it
Thank
was,
you,
Wanted to
Steph.
jump in and say thank you. It was really, really interesting. And Steph, I am literally driving into your new hometown and hope that we get to connect one day soon.
yes, I'll have to come visit you down at Barton Creek.
oh, neat.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm looking at the Austin skyline, and it's
Awesome.
it's my happy place. So welcome.
Awesome. Well, it was great to
you.
see you guys, and I'm excited to have this back up and running again. Please let me know if you have suggestions for future books and topics and speakers. But thank you so much for taking the time to be here this morning, you guys.
Yeah,
I've
thanks
missed
for
you.
showing up, everybody. I put my Instagram handle in the link if anybody wants to.
And I'll link her too on the replay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
Thanks so
both.
much, you guys.
Thank you both.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.